Hey guys, I'm making this video to help you with the 8.3 through 8.5 quiz. So these are examples of problems that are going to look very similar to what is on your actual quiz. So for example, for questions 1 through 2, it's going to ask find the x and y intercepts. Now remember, intercepts means where it crosses the x and the y axis. So this is the y-axis. This is the x-axis. So we want to know where it crosses those. So for this instance, it crosses the y-axis right here at 5. So the y-intercept is going to be 5. Now for the x-axis, it crosses here at 10. So the x-intercept is going to be 10 in this case. So that would be your answer for those. That's how you do that graphically. Now, when it asks for it algebraically, like on questions 3 through 4, we're going to have to do some algebra here. So notice, again, at this point, this is the point 0, 5, and this is the point 10, 0. The thing that both of these have in common is the zeros. For the y-intercept, x is 0, and for the x-intercept, y is 0. So if we want to know what the x-intercept is, we're going to plug in 0 for y. And if we want to know what the y-intercept, we're going to plug in 0 for x. So it just looks like this. Go 3 times 0 plus 2y equals 6. And then we're going to go 3x plus 2 times 0 equals 6. So I plugged in 0 for x and I plugged in 0 for y. Two completely separate equations. Now I'm going to solve. Well, 3 times 0 is just 0, so that's gone. So I get 2y equals 6. Y is being multiplied, so I divide by 2. So I get y equals 3. Same thing here. 2 times 0 is 0, so that's gone. So I get 3x equals 6. X being multiplied, so I divide both sides by 3. Get x equals 2. So my x-intercept is 2. My y-intercept is 3 on that one. All right. On 5 through 7, it's going to ask to find the slope. So remember, slope, we call that m, and it's rise over run. It's the y's over the x's. So it's same thing as y sub 2 minus y sub 1 all over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. Okay, so in this instance, I'm going to label this x sub 1, y sub 1, x sub 2, y sub 2. Now we could have switched these. It doesn't matter. I could have made these x sub 1, x sub 2, y sub 2, and made these x sub 1, y sub 1. It doesn't matter. You just have to pick. But it is important that these are both 1s, these are both 2s. X, Y, X, Y. All right, so now I just got to plug into the formula. So my y sub 2 is negative 9. So instead of y sub 2 here, I write negative 9 minus y sub 1, which is 6, all over x sub 2, which x sub 2 is 10, minus x sub 1 is 1. So I get negative 9 minus 6 all over 10 minus 1, which I can go ahead and simplify that. So negative 9 minus 6 is negative 15. 10 minus 1 is positive 9. So my slope, I can't simplify that, or actually I can divide both by 3. So that's going to get me negative 5 over 3. And that will be my slope on that one. Now again, if I had reversed them, if I had went 6 minus negative 9 all over 1 minus 10, notice I would have still gotten 15 over negative 9, which is still the same thing as negative 5/3. So either way, I still get the same thing. This one, it says the graph shows a linear relationship. Find the slope. So I need to find how they get from this point to this point. So this one's a little hard to see. This is the point 1, -1, and that's the point 7, -8. So again, I can label these. My equation again is m equals y sub 2 minus y sub 1 all over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. I'm going to call this x sub 1, y sub 1, which makes this x sub 2, y sub 2. So when I plug in, that gets me -8 minus 7 all over -8 minus -1 all over 7 minus 1. So in this case, minus a negative, I get -8 plus 1. So that gets me -7 all over 7 minus 1, which is 6. So the slope on this one is going to be -7 over 6. Also, I could count this to get from here, to get from this dot down. I have to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then I have to go right 1, 2, 3, 4. Oops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Which means down 7, which means -7, and then right 6, which means +6. That's why it's -7, 6. So you can do it either way if you have the graph. Now, next one. It says find the slope of the line described by that equation. So remember, slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. The reason why I call it slope-intercept form is because m represents slope, b represents the y-intercept. So if I get this solved for y, I can figure out what the slope is because it'll be what's in front of x. So I'm going to do that. How do I get rid of what's by y? Well, it's being multiplied by -3 and it's being added by x. So remember, order of operations tells us we need to go, when we solve, we go in reverse order of operations. So I got to start with addition, subtraction, then I'll multiply and divide, and then I can do with exponents in parentheses. So in this case, I'm going to look to add or subtract first. So if it's being added by x, I'm going to subtract x from both sides. And because these are not like terms with -6 and -x, that just becomes -3y equals -x minus 6, because I can't put them together. Now I added and subtracted. So now I'm going to look to multiply or divide. Y is being multiplied, so I divide by -3. And then I got to do that to everything. So y equals negative divided by negative is positive 1/3 x. Negative divided by negative is a positive, let's say positive 2. So now I have it in slope-intercept form because y is by itself. Then I have mx plus b. My m, in this case, my slope is 1/3. So m, or my slope, is 1/3. So that's how you'll do questions 10 through 11. The last set of questions are from 12 to 15, and it looks like this. You're going to graph using the slope and the y-intercept. So remember, whenever you graph, you always start with the y-intercept. So it says y-intercept is -2. So start at the origin, And because it said -2, I go down 2. And I mark that point. My slope, remember that's m is rise over run. In this case, that's 1/3. So the 1/3 means up 1, and this means right 3. Because it's positive, so positive is up. On the bottom, positive means right. Because remember, it's rise, this is up and down, this is left and right. So start with this though. I went down 2, and then my slope is 1/3. So that means I go up 1, right 3. So I go up 1, and I go right 1, 2, 3. And then I connect my line, connect my dots with a line. And that's the graph of that one. So you just find the graph that looks like that. Now, I also gave you a case where it's negative. So in this case, my y-intercept is still -1. So I go down 1. But in this case, my slope, m, is -2/3. And remember, this is up, down, over, left/right. So in this case, it's -2, so that means down. It's +3, so that still means right. So from my y-intercept, which is at -1, on the y-axis, I have to go down 2, 1, 2, and I go right 3 from that point. 1, 2, 3. And I can go ahead and connect those. And that is how you do questions 12 through 15. I hope this video helps. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Thanks, guys.